Please take your seats. We'll be starting in a couple of minutes. Thank you very much. Okay, just one more minute. Just bear with me. Okay, one more minute really this time, I promise. Okay, I threatened to start twice now. I think I now better really start. So, as the stragglers are coming in, welcome to sadly the closing session. My name is Jonathan Wong. I'm the Chief of Innovation, Enterprise and Investment at United Nations ESCAP, and I hope you had an enjoyable couple of days. The closing session will feature a series of announcements, reflections from the past 2 days, sharing of next steps between us all, and what I promise to be a fun activity at the end as well. But to open the closing, it's now my pleasure to invite Ms. Armida Salcia Al-Shabana, Under-Secretary General of the United Nations and Executive Secretary of ESCAP, to deliver the closing remarks. Ibu, over to you.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Let me first of all recognize Honorable Linda Tabuya, Minister of Women Affairs, of Fiji, Excellencies, distinguished participants, colleagues, friends. It is my pleasure to join you today as we come to the close of what has proven to be, I hope, I'm sure everybody agrees, to be an inspiring as well as energizing 2 days. I would like to take the opportunity to thank you all for your contributions, your participation, your active engagement, which have been instrumental in making the forum a great success. In particular, I would like, first of all, to extend my appreciation and gratitude to the International Development Research Center, IDRC, the Asian Development Bank, ADB, the Australian Department for Foreign Affairs and Trade, DFAT, Investing in Women, as well as our sister, UN Women, for their valuable contribution to this year's forum. I also would like to extend a special thanks to Global Affairs Canada for your ongoing support and partnership, as well as unwavering commitment to the advancement of gender-inclusive financing and investment in our region. I'm sure that this forum reiterates again that investing in women is not just a moral obligation, but also it makes sound business sense. Therefore, while challenges remain, the opportunity of investing in women is crystal clear. We need to work together to seize this opportunity, however, So therefore, I would like to stress again the critical need to work with all stakeholders, and I'm very pleased that for ESCAP to act as a platform to bring people and organizations together, all stakeholders, to create the systemic shift needed to unlock the potential of investing in women. Over the course of the past 2 days, we have not only brought to light the unique challenges faced by women entrepreneurs in the region, we have also uncovered and explored the needs-based solution and tools that exist to effectively respond to these challenges. In an effort to unlock this potential, since 2018, our Catalyzing Women's Entrepreneurship Initiative, funded by Global Affairs Canada, has been building momentum for the movement to close the gap in access to finance and investment and to create an enabling ecosystem, especially for women entrepreneurs across the region. I'm also very pleased to note that to date, the program has mobilized approximately $90 million, and I'm sure, the clock is still ticking, adding much more in capital for women-owned and businesses, and directly supported over 176,000 women entrepreneurs through access to finance and investment and enhanced skills to grow their businesses. I'm confident that the learnings that we take away from this forum will contribute to these efforts. In just 2 days, we have covered vast ground. We have explored the untapped potential to align gender and climate investment in the region and to catalyze action to invest in the care economy, to name just a few. I also would like to highlight the immense potential. Again, this is an untapped area, actually, of FDI, foreign direct investment, as a catalyst for women's empowerment. Why this is the case? Because FDI is actually one of the largest financial flows into developing countries, and also especially to our region. So we are seeing high demand from our member states for this agenda. I must say increasingly, just the past maybe 2 years, this getting really a good traction, and very, very popular in high demand. So therefore, I'm pleased to share with you our forthcoming gender equity pledge among investment promotion agencies, which we'll be hearing more about during the closing session. In closing, again, over the past 2 days, we have begun to sketch out a regional vision and fostered multi-stakeholder cooperation to drive momentum towards our shared goals. Before we all go to our separate ways, I urge you to take this momentum home with you and channel it into concrete outcomes. Again, this is, I would like to underline the concrete outcomes, concrete deliverables. And also, I'm very much looking forward to the outcomes of this forum, which I have no doubt will be a force for positive change, not just for women, but for all of us in the region. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Iwamida, for those remarks. Before we move on, we've just got a short video, I think short anyway, highlighting some of the highlights over the past couple of days. So let's take a look. Over to you guys in the corner.
A space for innovation, a space to be creative, a space to design and think about what's possible.
We're facing a pivotal moment for feminist finance, particularly in the Asia Pacific.
It's estimated that more than 1 billion women worldwide either don't use or don't have access to the formal financial system.
The key to closing the gender finance gap isn't just about writing bigger checks. It's actually about rewriting a narrative of who gets to hold the pen.
Feminist finance is not just about closing the gender finance gap. It is also about promoting female leadership.
Our commitment to ensuring that there is a gender lens to the finance sector responds to what we recognize as a huge unmet need globally.
We advocate for the adoption of a comprehensive whole-of-government strategy that incorporates a women-centered approach.
If nobody is interested in financing market aggregators like us, you are missing out of scaling and speeding up the process of facilitating livelihood in the rural area.
So one of the key takeaways that we had from that workshop was this issue of engaging stakeholders.
What I love is that everyone in this room has so much to share. We all want to see gender integrated to make this a just transition.
We noticed that there was not really one space that brought everyone together who works on gender-lens finance or feminist finance. So we thought as ESCAP we should create a forum that brings everyone together, policymakers, investors, women entrepreneurs, civil society, where everyone can contribute and build a movement together.
Most of the financing are either for the micro scale or either for the big size tickets. And unless we also address those who lies on the, on the medium size, then it will be difficult because it takes the whole village to be able to address the mission that we want to achieve, and everybody has to be included.
There's still much work to be done to ensure that financial systems in Asia and the Pacific are gender inclusive. Each one of you has a vital role to play in driving action to close the gender gap in access to finance and promoting a feminist entrepreneurial ecosystem.
Together, let's write a new chapter, one where every woman has the opportunity to write her own success.
I think that deserves a round of applause. Let's go. Thank you so much to you all. Thank you so much to you all for that. It is now my pleasure to invite Her Excellency, Ms. Linda Taboya, Minister of Women, Children and Social Protection of Fiji, to deliver our keynote speech. So over to you, Your Excellency. Thank you.
Bula Vinaka and good afternoon. To my dear friend here, Amita, and all other protocols observed, I am really, truly honored to be part of this Feminist Finance Forum 2024. It is my first time, and to be here today, inspired by the important discussions we've had and the snapshot of outcomes that are guiding us towards decisive and collective actions. In fact, I believe the word was coined today. We need courage. We need courage to stand up. We need courage in making decisions and in our collective actions. In concluding this high-level plenary, I reflect on the dialogue that we've had that has illuminated our path forward and underscored the urgent need for collective actions in a region that is ripe with both challenges and opportunities. Of course, as I look around the room, I am perhaps the only delegation from the Pacific, but I am still encouraged and know that there will be, and this is, I'm going to manifest it, that there will be another feminist forum next year, and more of our Pacific sisters will be able to join us. Now, the challenges and opportunities that we face are precisely why we have convened under the banner of this Feminist Finance Forum. Here we are committed to apply a feminist lens to finance, which inherently calls for a nuanced, inclusive, and integrative approach to develop impactful solutions that address the root causes of disparities in gender equality and foster systemic change across the entire financial ecosystem. And just from my observations in the last couple of days, I was really encouraged by the number of young women that have been present here at this forum. I want to congratulate ESCAP and thank the inclusion and the participation of our young women, whether they're entrepreneurs or from whatever organizations they represent. I have been deeply encouraged and learned a lot from them. As we move forward, our active collaboration amongst us, whether we are a policymaker, a business, a financial service provider, women entrepreneurs, or civil society stakeholders, it is essential. Our actions must be bold. We must be decisive and transformative. What do we need to do? And what were our discussions to ensure in the next, as we leave from here, what we would be doing? We need to develop and implement robust legal and policy frameworks that vigorously promotes financial inclusion and women economic empowerment. The need to enhance and expand care policies, including childcare and parental and family leave, and invest in the care economy by channeling more capital into care enterprises. We need to develop and implement policy measures to prevent gender-based violence against all women and girls, whether it be at home or in the workplace, in public spaces, and online. We need to foster multi-stakeholder collaboration to establish and strengthen private-public partnerships and other multi-stakeholder partnerships, enhancing blended finance solutions. We need to ensure targeted investment in the blue and green economies, and yes, of course, Wati, the orange economy too. That's why she's wearing orange today, as well as in STEM, particularly in response to the climate crisis. Additionally, we need to prioritize bolstering investment in insurance and gender-responsive shock resilience finance to enhance climate adaptation efforts. We need to channel investments into creating financial products that truly meet the needs of women in all diversity, ensuring these solutions are accessible and appropriate for their entrepreneurial and personal financial goals. We need to prioritize and escalate efforts to collect and analyze gender disaggregated data, which will guide more informed decisions and foster gender parity in financial inclusions. Colleagues and friends, I acknowledge that financial inclusion alone won't automatically reduce poverty or foster women's economic empowerment or eradicate structural inequalities faced by women in all diversity. Nevertheless, it stands as a critical tool that can empower women to manage financial risks, achieve independence, challenge traditional roles, increase their income, build their assets, and pursue entrepreneurial goals and expand their businesses. On that note, together, let's harness the power of financial inclusion to shape a fairer and more inclusive Asia-Pacific region that benefits everyone. I'm excited as we have the opportunity to unlock a staggering $4.5 trillion in added value to the region's GDP. So we need to roll up our sleeves and get to work. I am committed to doing my part and pledge to extend my hand in collaboration with you and my counterparts and all stakeholders across the region, especially with ESCAP. Together we can turn our aspirations into actions and drive meaningful change for all. Well, all good things must come to an end, but this is not goodbye. This is Sotatale, so until we meet again. Thank you.
Thank you for your inspiring words, Your Excellency. Before we move on to the next part of the closing, may I invite you both down for the obligatory UN photograph, as you both well know. I think in front of the seats would be the point, unless, photographer, do you have any better ideas? Maybe here. Just the two of you. We can do a group one if you want. Okay. You know what? I think let's do one more group one, shall we? Yeah, why not? Okay. And Ibu Hamid and Your Excellency, may you just stay there. Let's everybody come in behind now. Stay there. We'll do a group one as well. Everybody up. Sorry, Carl, I'm going off script, right? Oh, don't touch this. Yeah. By the way, don't touch this. This has been months in the making, so everybody behind. Go. Everybody go. Do we have room? You two here. Come in. How many do you want? Okay. Okay, they're coming now, they're coming now. Come. Let me put it this way. I invite you all to come for the photograph. Otherwise, we're locking the doors on the way out. So please do come down. Thank you. Cal, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to give you 1 more minute to get organized, so no pressure. And then the photographer's going to go. Okay. Everybody stop where you are. Photographer, are you ready? Okay. All right, let's go. Snap away, photographers. Whooping is allowed in here. Feel free. Okay, thank you all very much. And again, a warm round of applause if we all can for Ibu Amida and Minister Linda for their remarks as well. Thank you. Okay, let me give you a minute to take your seats. Thank you. Okay. Let me give you a minute to take your seats. I am very jet lagged, so it's going to be my pleasure to hand over to Cal very shortly. Thank you, Cal.
Well, thank you so much, Jonathan, for the improvisation. I'll be hosting the rest of the session. Your privileges have been revoked. No, just kidding. This was part of the plan. So we're going to have a few announcements, as Jonathan was saying earlier, as well as a fun activity. And I want to go to one of our first announcements. I'm going to invite Lisa and Bettina up because we are going to announce the winner. We're going to announce the winner for the Climate Tech and Sustainability Reverse Accelerator. And Bettina, if I can just ask you briefly, unmute the microphone and tell us a little bit about what this accelerator is about.
Thank you so much, Cal. So firstly, I'd like to thank all the founders that joined us for the program, everyone who attended yesterday's demo day and pitch competition, and of course the ESCAP for putting this whole thing together. So please give all of them a round of applause. Yesterday's demo day and pitch competition was not only a competition and a demo day, but the culmination of a 2-month accelerator program supporting 12 amazing female-led climate tech and sustainability startups from around Asia and the Pacific. And yesterday, while we did culminate the competition, today we'll be awarding the Judge's Choice winner, who will be winning a $5,000 seed grant for the competition. So quite exciting. And the winner of today is not just the winner of the program, but a prime example and representative of all the impactful startups around Asia Pacific and female founders around the region creating tangible impact in their home markets. So we're very excited. And that being said, I'd like to hand the floor back to Cal to announce our winner.
So I have this envelope here, which I will open up. And I thank you. Let's get a little bit of a drum roll going. And our winner is Billion Carbon. So we have Nikhil, right? We have Nikhil who's coming up, and if you could present the check over. Congratulations. So I have lost control. Let's head over to the next two slides. All right. If I could get the next two slides. Next one. Next one. All right, let's go to the key learning. So I think we've had the privilege of having a number of people who we've asked to kind of pull out from some of the different sessions, some of the key learnings. You know, one of the things that I think we always feel torn about is we don't get to go to all of the parallel sessions, right? And we know that there were interesting things happening in the other parallel sessions. So what I want to do is I want to invite a few people up to the front, and we're going to have a little bit of a discussion where we're going to think through some of our key learning. So as I call your names, if you can come up and take one of the seats at the front, we'll start with Keiko Nowachka, who is a Principal Social Development Specialist in Gender and Development with the Asian Development Bank. So Keiko, welcome. We've got Sana Kapadia, who's the Chief Catalyst for Heading for Change. So Sana, welcome. We've got Elisa Sivathorn, who is a Disability Inclusion and Empowerment Specialist with UNDP. Welcome. And we have Joy Anderson, the founder and president of the Criterion Institute. So welcome, and thank you so much all for joining us. Joy, I want to start with you. Is this Feminist Finance Forum just a conference, or is there more happening here?
It is not just a conference, and that's not just because it's the right answer here. But when I started, the opening marks that I made at this plenary, at the opening plenary, was about why this is different and why it's important. And hopefully you've all seen this be realized, but 10 years ago, maybe a little longer than that now, we traveled around Asia for about a year looking at what the potential of the field of gender lens investing would look like. And the three things that we named as most important are what are happening here, and they are unique. So the first is, I know we keep throwing this out, that multiple stakeholders are here, that there's civil society, women's rights organizations, youth, people thinking from different perspectives, representing government and investors. Most gender lens investing conferences privilege investors, and this one doesn't. That is not insignificant. And I really want to have that sink in, right? The voices, the complexity. Because the second thing is, how do we really build a translation function that brings the knowledge of finance and the knowledge of gender together? The second that we named was that we need a space for innovation. And what I saw us do here was challenge each other. No, not good enough. No, that doesn't represent the complexity in the Pacific. No, that doesn't actually work for rural women in Indonesia. No, that's not right in the agricultural section. No, that's not intersectional, looking at disabilities and other questions of how we live in this world. And we said to each other over and over again, not good enough. And you know why we were able to say that? Because it wasn't just a bunch of finance people talking to each other, right? And so then the third is this broader vision, right? I think when we first started traveling around, the conversation was, somebody literally said to me in India, I don't call myself a gender lens investing because I don't do microfinance. Take that in, right? I don't want to be known as microfinance because that's what gender lens investing is. And so what I heard over and over here with the depth of what's happening in the care economy was a broader vision. And the boldness of ESCAP, naming this as the Feminist Finance Forum, means that we're claiming we're not a niche of a fringe. We're not the women entrepreneurs in a development conference, right? We're in the center. We're creating a new center where different groups come together. And I really do want to say, for those of you who don't go to other gender lens investing conferences, I have an amazing pleasure of going all over the world talking about gender lens investing, and this is different.
Thank you. Alyssa, I want to come to you. And building a little bit maybe on Joy's comment about bridging. I know you're very interested in intersectionalities. I know that you're very interested in partnerships. Tell us, are there some things that you found over the last couple of days that have been very interesting from your perspective?
Thank you. Yes, of course, I'm come from the perspective of intersectionality, and that's very much aligned with what I'm working and also with myself. I'm a person with disability, and I'm also a woman, and I'm also the entrepreneur, so I quite very resonate with this particular forum. So, but one thing that I have observed in the past couple of days, that is, we hear a lot about genders. We hear a lot about challenges that all women have been facing. We hear a lot about innovation. We hear a lot about, like the policies or the private sectors is talking about how they're setting up all the fundings that are available for gender. But rarely that I heard people saying that, how can we bridge all of these together? One very good example was happening yesterday, actually. I attended one session. It was very, very good. It's about like the gender vote. So the facilitator was asking the participants in the room that, okay, if you have gender vote, and then what projects you're going to apply for? And then there were several answers like digital and or education to women and all like that. And then that was the final question asked, but how can the private or the bank measure the impact on those projects that the money been given out? So all the participants, including myself, we were thinking like, how are we going to measure? What about the indicators that having more women become more entrepreneurs or the owners of the businesses and all like that? In the late afternoon, though, I went to another session, which was about intersectionality, and then it was a sharing from the women who started all the businesses in like Nepal or Bangladesh. I do apologize if I can't remember that correctly. But her application was iFarming or iFarmer. And this platform is actually allow women who live in a rural area who think of themselves that they are nothing but just taking care of the cattle or just planting all the plants and looking after the children, but they see nothing, no valuable at all. But then this particular platform helped those women seeing that capacity of they can actually raise the cattle and then sell it and then resell it and then buy it and then make the money and then they can live and then they can earn for themselves and boost up their confidence, right? So And then one woman sharing with the platform owner or the startup owner that, hey, you know what? I can buy a pair of earrings. So now I can wear the earring. So that it came to me, this is very little, but it's such a great impact that if you give the money to those women who never actually had the opportunity to access, and such a pair of earrings, I mean, all of us here can buy a pair of earrings, that's so easy. But with those people, with those women who think of themselves as nothing, then they can now be like, I'm wearing a pair of earrings, right? It's such a good impact. So I think all the solutions and all the answers are lying in all the sessions. And we all have the solutions in all the challenges, but that is how we're going to bring all the solutions to all those who've been facing the challenges. That's how I see things, yeah.
Thanks very much. Sana, whenever you go to conferences, forums, you kind of get a sense of where the energy is going to, right? Like, what are some of the spaces that people are looking to move into, or kind of where are things shifting? And I'm curious to hear from you, do you have thoughts on kind of where is the energy going in this space, and where are things shifting?
Thank you so much, Cal, and thank you everyone for the opportunity to participate in this amazing forum. And I think that naming and the intentionality behind calling it a Feminist Finance Forum is truly very powerful. So maybe another round of applause for that, please. Because in terms of direction of travel, I think this is what excites me as someone who's been in the field and building the field alongside so many of us, that we're at a place now where we're able to have this type of conversation about the structures and the system of finance in a really meaningful, actionable, evidence-based way. We've tried out a bunch of different things, and now we're sort of getting to a sense of, all right, in this region, this type of more contextualized support is essential, and here's a bunch of incredible tools that can help us do that. I think it was really amazing also to see care, the care economy and climate so central to the agenda, because care is such a strong lever for gender equality. And without having a functioning care economy across early childhood all the way to aging, so much of what we're doing to shift the narrative and shift social norms is just not going to happen. So I really was encouraged by so many of those discussions, and then the intersectionality of care with climate and what it looks like in a climate crisis, and how without having that sort of multifaceted approach, we're missing out on so many of the dimensions. The fact that on the climate side, I think it was wonderful to have conversations focused on the loss and damage fund, nationally determined contributions, national action plans. Like, these are all things that are happening in the climate finance arena, which some of us may not think it affects us, but climate change is happening now and it's impacting all of us. So I thought it was wonderful to be having those discussions where we're really centering, okay, that may seem like it's up here, but we can see what's happening on the ground. And I think it was one of the amazing entrepreneurs, Heliati, who shared what's happening in terms of agricultural practices when you have this push down, must do it this way, which doesn't take into account any sort of indigenous wisdom, local knowledge. So I think for me, having, hearing what was resonating for people, and one of the beautiful things I think about being in these types of forums is when you can see someone else light up or have their aha moment, because then they're able to make, right, gender-based violence, absolutely, that's material. I need to be thinking about this, and here Criterion has just given me 35 ways in which I can do that. I think that's what I love about the coming together, is the connections we get to build, the partnerships that we're able to see, and also how we're constantly traveling through time. We're building on so much that has come behind us and that's coming before us, and we need to plant these seeds because it takes time for the plants to grow too, but we need each other to do that collectively. So these are some of the things that are making me warm and fuzzy on the last day.
Wonderful. Keiko, from your perspective, was there anything that struck you or that maybe surprised you even from some of the conversations?
Nothing particularly surprised me, but in a sense, I was so looking forward to this forum. ADB we were really happy to partner. But what I loved about this forum is that it was connecting the dots. So there were some aha moments where, for example, IDRC organized this session on care and climate, and it's kind of thinking through like, okay, I work a lot on care, I work for a climate bank, and then I was like, so it should have surprised me, but maybe it did a little bit. But it's making those dots and the bridges, and I think that's what's been really great about the last 2 days. It's kind of joining the dots, because I work in it, sometimes I call myself a schizophrenic, because I work a lot on childcare, I work a lot on women's entrepreneurship, but almost in a very siloed way. But in the real world, on the ground, these are not siloed for women entrepreneurs. They are seeing that connection on a daily basis, and that affects them, whether that's care, climate combined, intersectionality, all of that is combined, but we don't do it in a more combined way. So this forum is great to bring all of that together and force us who kind of maybe as an investor or as development bank to think more about the connections and how we bring those connections together. And I wanted to echo also the Minister for Women from Fiji about seeing the youth in the room also. I really applaud that, because that's a little bit about the seeds. I mean, I don't know when some of this, we want sometimes things to happen a little bit faster, and it's sometimes, Joy kind of coined a phrase, I won't steal her phrase, but she'll probably share with the rest of us later. It's the patience that we need to be able to nudge certain behaviors, and I often feel like I go 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Sometimes it's more backwards than forwards, but it gives a lot of inspiration to see other generations there and even more inspired and motivated with even better ideas and solutions there, so that there's a passing of the baton there, and I think that's been really great. So maybe nothing like surprisingly new. I think a lot of the solutions, a lot of us know them, but we're not making the connections, and so whether that's amongst us as organizations, even within our own organizations, but we need to be thinking in a much more holistic way, because that's the reality of all the women we're trying to support on the ground.
Joy, I think you've been queued up basically, but maybe you can tell us a little bit about where you think we ought to be going next as well, or where should we be thinking about kind of focusing our energies and our efforts now?
So the phrase was pushy patience. Because partly what we need to do is recognize that I think the thing that all of us feel, and I often just find myself breathing in and breathing out, because we are working on issues that are about fundamental structural inequities, and we're talking to people who have biases. This is not all rational thought, right? We are working uphill with somebody standing in front of us, pushing us downhill. It's not passive. And so one of the reasons I want us to, as we go forward, there's often this kind of, what are you going to get done in the next 6 months? How fast can you move this forward? Did you really accomplish enough? Like, I just want us to continue to own how many headwinds we're up against. And I don't think we give folks credit for that. And so we are told we have to go farther, faster to prove the business case for investing in women. We have to show we're better. Oh, for goodness sake. Why? Right? 1, we've proven it, and 2, it's hard. And so, but we do need to push and maybe be demanding and sometimes make people a little angry, because we will. But I also think the real direction, and this is where I had the most fun, is our conversation with Pacific Trade and Invest, and conversations about what's going on in Sri Lanka, and just we can take this system apart and rebuild it for what works for us and what works for women entrepreneurs. We need to stop fixing companies and fix the capital. And Keiko and I were talking before, the building blocks are there. We don't have to reinvent finance. We just have to put it together in some different ways. and not get stuck in a rut of saying every woman entrepreneur needs to get venture capital. That's ridiculous. How do we get appropriate capital for the needs in context, but have the patience to stay with it?
Alyssa, where do you think we ought to be focusing our energies and our attention going forward?
Thank you. Well, now we've learned about pushy patient, so I'd like to give you maybe adding one more principle to our step forward. I like to call it as EEC, as the first E is education. When we think about education, we tend to think that, we have to educate those women who left behind to understand about the finance and how to make the bookkeepings and all like that. But in fact, all of us need to be educated at some point. For example, I myself probably would like to know more about the policies that are available for women and women with disabilities and women indigenous group, and in other social groups on how we're going to be able to access or how those policies are available for us. Or the banks probably want to be educated on how they can measure the impact in other way around apart from making profits, and vice versa. So I think all of us here need to be educated at some point on something. So the second E is exchange. We hear a lot about several researches, studies, and challenges and solutions and policies, but none of these have ever been exchanged between each group. We have government sector, we have private sector, we have think tank, we have CSOs, we have the women who's actually on the ground. So all of these sectors need to be group themselves together, like this forum, for example. This is a very good example. So we need more of these similar forums. So and the last C is collaboration. After exchange, you can't really take the research from the think tank and then do it on your own, right? So you need everyone to actually work collaboratively with each other in order to move forward the agenda on feminine and the finance. So we really need to work along together, not just saying that, okay, now we're going to work, then now we're going to sit in the forum, we spend 2 days with each other, we're going to listen to you, and then what next? After we go out from this UN compound, then all the messages that we've been sharing with each other are going to left in this room? No, right? So we need to bring all of these attention with us and really make it forward. So that is my principle. Thank you.
Thank you. Sana, where do you think we ought to be focusing our energies going forward over the next year?
I think I want to double click on what Joy said in terms of different structures and more fit for purpose capital, because I think we've been talking about that a lot in the field, and I think we need more examples of what that looks like in practice. I think there are fund managers who are experimenting with different structures, revenue-based funding, debt-based funding, all these different types. I think that we need that continuum of capital to be built out more. I also think the inclusion, for example, of pension funds in the conversation was a great one and one to build on, because they're sitting on a lot of capital, trillions of dollars. The gender lens movement has moved billions, and there's nothing to stop it from being in the trillions. And for me, that's where the integrated approaches need to keep continuing. And it's not so much about quantifying the quantum of capital, but what is actually shifting on the ground. So yes, let's talk about the money that's moving, but let's also talk about the impact. Where are there substantive shifts when we talk about the intersection of care and climate? Like, what's actually shifting on the ground? How are women's lives improving? How are the power dynamics shifting? I think the work around process is also things that we really need to take forward, because it's not enough to fix one part of the sort of framework, but you also need to think about how are we shifting our own internal practices? What's the type of culture that we're building in organizations, as well as in all types of funding structures? So I hope that we keep pressing on these aspects. And particularly one thing for me that was really brought to life and not being based in the region, I think, is that there's Asia Pacific is not a monolith. Even different places in Asia have so many different dynamics. So how do we keep building more contextualized tools, learn from each other, but be aware that what we do in one place, it's a little bit like this jigsaw puzzle, hopefully. I think that's what's down there. So we need to keep building and connecting the dots a bit more, and have all types of models that work for different contexts, and keep building out the compendium of what good looks like.
Thanks. So I'm probably going to repeat a little bit what my co-panelists have been saying. So I guess for us, it would be looking at that ecosystem. So thinking about the financial ecosystem, and everybody plays a different role, and women entrepreneurs are part of it, but they're the demand side, and we demand a lot from them. And we say, we're going to give you access to skills, we're going to give you funds, but then we don't fix the rest of the ecosystem. And there's some very simple things. So I think earlier you said, what's the innovations? Some of it's not innovative. How many countries in this region have a definition of women-owned business? Not many. How many countries collect sex disaggregated data in their financial systems and mandate that? Even less than the definitions. But if you don't know where women entrepreneurs are, then you don't know how much finance they're receiving. A lot of the information we have is anecdotal, based on a survey. It's not efficient. And so we need to be able to mobilize the whole ecosystem. And it's not even about setting targets, because I get this comment all the time. Oh, so, it needs to be based on merit. It's like, we're not saying that's not based on merit. Actually, a lot of the data that we have databases from our own lending in some of the countries in this region, for example, that show that women, of course, confirming what we all know, they are better returners on loans, but yet the loan kind of conditions are significantly worse. They're paying higher interest rates, lower, like the loan tenor conditions are worse, but they're still better at paying them back. So there are inequalities that make no sense from a business case. So using that same business logic that often used against women. But so we need to be able to understand the market, and that as a result, it's not about setting targets, it's about making it clear that the playing field isn't even, and then develop market solutions that are really data-driven. And in our region, we still have a lot to catch up on in that. So it's not necessarily innovative, but it's just really like KYC. Like we're not very advanced yet in our region, and that's probably where we have to go, and in order to mobilize the ecosystem to be more gender responsive.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all for sharing. Maybe I'll pull out a couple of key points. So we started the conversation around connections and this idea of the translation function that is so crucial. And what strikes me from this is that we are in an exercise of dealing with the real complexity of this world, right? The work of establishing these connections and links is the work that we need to be doing. It is not a supporting activity. It is the linking gender with climate. That is the core work that needs to happen in order to be able to deal with the complexity of the challenges that we're seeing. And this field of feminist finance, perhaps we can call it, is reaching a certain level of maturity. And we're seeing some of those seeds that have been planted years ago, we're starting to see them sort of generate results. It takes time. It takes time for it to happen. But we are generating results around this. And the thinking is that we actually need to deal with the market structures and the ecosystem. Yes, it's important to kind of work with the startups and the entrepreneurs and all of that and the finance, but the market structures are really where the key challenge for us lies. And we have the people here to take them apart and put them together with a new logic. And I think this is why the outlook for this space is very good. So I want to thank you all for joining us for this key takeaways from the session. Thank you. right. So we have, in fact, speaking about going forward, we have a couple of actions and pledges going forward. And one of them, I'm very happy to invite Heather and Catherine up. One of the key things that we're going to hear about is the IPA, the Investment Promotion Agency Gender Pledge. So we have Heather Taylor-Strauss, who is the Economic Affairs Officer specialized on FDI with ESCAP, as well as Catherine Rothwell, who's a Marketing and Strategic Business Development Manager on Gender Equality and the Gender Equality Initiative lead with the FDI Center. So I'm going to pass the podium over to you. Tell us a little bit about what this is.
So thanks so much for taking a moment just to hear about this pledge that we've put together. You know, I had this speech planned that I was going to give, but Joy said something really important right now, and I'm going to scrap that entire speech. Yeah, I love it, Joy. Thank you very much, because you brought up a point that actually Jonathan and I are out there talking about all the time. Most people actually do not realize that foreign direct investment is the largest source of development capital in developing countries globally. Why aren't we talking about more how foreign direct investment can do more for women, but also more broadly for gender equality? How do we make it do more? A part of it is engaging with investors, and a part of it is also working with the investment promotion agencies that have the mandate in every single country to get out there, to bring in new investment, to support those investors when they're in a country, and also encourage those investors to start doing A, something, but B, more for gender equality. So I'm really happy and excited to be here telling you that Catherine and I, you and ESCAP actually, and FDI Center, we're launching this pledge. The official name of the pledge is the Pledge Amongst Investment Promotion Agencies, Economic Development Boards, and Ministries of Investment to Advance Gender Equity in Foreign Direct Investment. Catherine now is going to tell you a little bit more about the pledge, and then afterwards we're going to tell you all of the exciting investment promotion agencies that have already signed on to it, and then invite them up to the stage to take a photo. Catherine?
Thank you, Heather. I'm going to go back to the script now, if that's all right. But everything that Heather said is absolutely true. When investment promotion bodies and investors work together consciously, FDI has a tremendous potential for positive impact on gender equality, not only in the host economy, but around the world. The goal of this pledge is to inspire, provide guidance, and ultimately increase the number of organizations that actively work on furthering gender equality by incorporating gender equitable measures into their work. The pledge puts this into practice with two overarching objectives. Number one is to facilitate a greater positive impact of FDI on gender equality in host economies. And number two is to promote gender equality internally within institutions that work on investment promotion. Under the umbrella of these objectives are 9 action areas, which represent a comprehensive guideline of gender equitable practices. These objectives and action areas were created considering the wide range of mandates these organizations are tasked with, the differing levels of development and resources, and the unique national priorities. We asked signatories to commit to putting at least 3 of the 9 action areas into action. The launch of this pledge is just the very beginning of this initiative, and it will be succeeded with progress reports, sharing of best practices, and further guidance to stimulate and guide more and more investment promotion organizations to work towards SDG 5. Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. Maybe I can just also add on to it. You know, some of these action areas under the overarching objectives that we've put into this pledge, they're in 2 different areas. You know, it's one on how do you engage with those investors when they're coming into your country to encourage them to do these things, and also what does it look like when an investor comes in? What type of things can they be doing to advance gender equality in that host country? The second area is really looking at, you know, within the actual investment agency itself, what can they be doing more to advance gender equality? Because In reality, when investment promotion agencies go out and work with investors, they can only encourage them to do something if they themselves are walking the talk. So with that, we're really excited to say 7 agencies have signed on to it. As I'm saying your names, please come on up to the front so we can take a picture. Invest Bhutan, Invest in Canada, the Malaysian Digital Economy Corporation, Philippines Board of Investment Sri Lanka, Board of Investment Thailand, and Investment Fiji. We'd like to invite all of you here to the center so we can take a photo, and we'll be announcing this pledge in an official format in a few weeks' time, and on there will also be all of the initiatives that these agencies are working on.
Okay, so Jonathan, you've got a few, I think, closing reflections and maybe some announcements to make as well. So tell us, what have you got?
What do we have? Reflections. You know, is anyone from Global Affairs Canada in the room? No. Okay, I'll say this then. Okay. You know, when we started on this journey, I knew nothing about this, by the way, full disclosure. I am from a pure investment background. I'm like the bad guy. We knew nothing about this. And I remember being on the phone to GAC, and we were debating the metrics. And they were saying, look, how many women entrepreneurs are you going to provide access to finance to through this program? And how much capital are you going to mobilize? And I was like, we've all been there, right? And I was like, 50? And they were like, no, that sounds a bit low. I was like, look, 100? They were like, it's a bit low. And we landed on 20,000. And again, we've all been there, right? It's kind of finger in the air. We said, okay, 20,000 women directly impacted, and 6 million capital mobilized. And that actually kept me up at night for about 2 years. But when I look back on it now, I mean, you've all heard several times, again, through this program that we have, 176,000 women directly benefiting from access to finance and 90 million mobilized. But beyond the numbers, behind each of those numbers is a real life story of how a woman has been empowered. And it's really testament to many of you in the room who've been partnering with us on this initiative for making that happen. And again, just back to this event as well, it was really our ambition, Joy mentioned this, around bringing the diverse actors together. And you know, from our perspective, I mean, none of us can do this by ourselves. You know, there's a mountain still to climb. But getting that diversity within the ecosystem in a what is sometimes quite a formal environment like the UN, right? But it doesn't feel that way in this room here today. So there are just kind of some brief reflections. I'll give some more later on as well. Just in terms of, so what next? I'll read this out because I'll forget something, team. So yeah, this bit I'll read. We've recently launched and will be launching the following publications. Oh, you've got them there, thank you. Let me go down them. Financial inclusion, resilience, and entrepreneurship. Is Asia and the Pacific close to gender parity? That's number 1. Number 2, toward inclusive access, navigating gender and disability barriers in entrepreneurship support and financing. Number 3, a quality lens toolkit for venture capital investors, mitigate unconscious gender bias and discover opportunities through your investment process. 4, unveiling the femtech landscape in Southeast Asia, empowering innovation and catalyzing capital for women. And last but not least, climate finance for women entrepreneurs in the coffee and pashmina value chains in Nepal. I don't think I've missed anything, but let me know. And just a few more updates on kind of progress since FFF1 actually as well, with 2X, who we signed. It doesn't feel so long ago now, actually, on the stage here. And since the last forum where we signed the LOA with 2X, we've been working to scale up our collaboration to unlock gender-smart capital at scale with a focus in Asia and Pacific. And together we're furthering 2 initiatives, the 2X Challenge and the 2X Ignite as well. In addition, ESCAP is very proud to have supported the inaugural 2X Ignite Asia Pacific GP Sprint, a program for women-led or gender-led, gender-balanced fund managers with gender-smart investing strategies. And we're very proud to be also supporting the upcoming 2X Challenge 2024 to 2026, which will be open for participation from the full spectrum of capital providers. Also, with our work on gender and climate, as you've seen through the program, we integrated a strong climate focus in this year's event in collaboration and with huge support from IDRC, with over 4 sessions focused on climate finance and mainstreaming climate finance across the sessions. We also signed several partnerships with on-the-ground women associations and feminist organizations to promote women's entrepreneurship in the climate change, adaptation and mitigation context in Fiji, Samoa, Bangladesh and Nepal. So I promise I will be closed now because you're all probably getting hungry and tired. You know, we all know there's like so much more to be done, and you know, we've only just scratched the surface. And you know, to echo the words of our executive secretary, we do hope that you take the inspiration, ideas and conversations that you've had over the past few days back home with you to build on the momentum of these few days. I just want to make a special announcement as well. You know, I joined the UN 8 years ago. And it was quite an attractive offer because I said, look, we're setting up a new team working on innovation, enterprise, and investment. So I had no predecessor. And actually, looking back, in my last 4 jobs, I've never had a predecessor. I think there's a trend somewhere there. I mean, innovation, enterprise, and investment could be anything, right? You know, so we had this blank sheet of paper. And what I've always believed in when I manage teams is to allow the teams to follow their passions under a broad framework. And listen, innovation, enterprise, investment is a pretty broad framework. So basically, the team could do anything they wanted to, which they do, by the way. But I just want to recognize the team right now, actually, behind this FFF forum, because all of this work is them. I can give you, it's like 0.1% of me. I can guarantee you of that. And I just want to hand over to Elena, again, to celebrate and recognize the team behind this as well. So over to you, Elena.
Thank you, Jonathan. So, of course, first, I want to thank you for letting us do whatever we want. We really appreciate it. But I also really want to take a moment to just, appreciate the team that is behind all of this, that's made this all happen. And I'd love if you could all come on the stage. So first, I want to say a big thank you to Sarah, who's been the leader of this forum. Please come up. Sarah is the strong feminist in our team. I consider myself a very strong feminist, but Sarah is even stronger than me and has been keeping us all very much accountable to our mission. Please come on, Sarah. Then there's another Sarah who's unfortunately not here because she had a baby less than 3 weeks ago, so she was here briefly in the opening. If you saw someone sneak in, that was her. Another amazing Sarah in our team, but let's applause for Sarah anyway. Then I want to recognize Lisa, who stepped in for the Sarah, who's not here not very long ago, and has also been an amazing leader for this forum, as well as our chief climate advocate. Then a big shout out goes also to Jana, who is the reason why we had the amazing choir, why we had sustainable as sustainable as we could catering, who's been running all the operations, who's been also a big force behind this forum. Then I also want to recognize Chang, who's been really driving a lot of the content, a lot of the partnerships that you've seen here today, as well as Christina, who's really been driving the communications, all the beautiful visuals. All of this has been led by Christina, as well as Vinita, who's been, the driving force behind the social media, the lovely videos that you might have seen on LinkedIn over the last few weeks. All of this is Vinita. Then you've all already seen Darshni and our amazing economist in the team holding us all accountable, especially on all the things micro-entrepreneurs and making sure everything is relevant for the broad spectrum of micro-entrepreneurs as well. Then as well as Bimita, who's really kind of jumped in wherever we've needed her and just been keeping us all sane and has been, just the most amazing team player that we could have had. And then I also want to recognize the amazing Tandemic team. So please, Cal, Iara, Ruela, Mara, please also all come on the stage. They're the reason. They're the reason why things have been running smoothly over the last 2 days. And then very last, please can someone in the back open the door, because I think they're outside. They're the people you haven't seen. I really want to give a big shout out to Partner Lin and Prang. Partner Lin and Prang, please come also onto the stage. Oh, Victoria, oh my God. And oh my God, I made a big mistake. I missed Victoria. I have literally a list of my team on this paper because I knew this was going to happen. Please, Victoria, come right in the front, right in the front. Victoria is another one of the people that has been keeping me sane and feeling like we're not going to make a mistake. She's like been for me, like the brain that's been making sure we don't mess up. So this for me has been Victoria. And yeah, big shout out to Partner Lin and Prang, who probably a lot of you haven't seen, but might have been in contact with over email, who've been really the reason that this could all happen. Without Partner Lin and Prang, who have been doing, all of this team has been doing amazing work, crazy hours over the last few weeks, but I know Partner Lin in particular, I've seen up all nights, all hours of the night as well to make sure everyone gets their flights and everything. So it's been a massive endeavor for all of us. So yeah, thank you to all of you.
And Elena, last but not least, you. Please. Sorry, I'm not that thoughtful. I don't have any flowers for you. Oh, thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you all. I promise, Cal, I'll close it. You know what, talk about unconscious bias. You know what, somebody once said to me, I have sisters and no brothers. My father has 8 sisters. No, my mother has 8 sisters and 2 brothers. My father has 5 sisters and 1 brother. And somebody said to me, you always hire women. And I didn't even think about it. And this is, by the way, this isn't the whole team, most of the... So yeah, there's certainly a bias I think I have there, but a good one in the context of this forum anyway. Just to close, and again, before I hand over to Cal for... I'm intrigued by this activity, by the way.
You're not closing just yet.
Oh, really? I'm going to close and hand over to you, right?
I need to do this.
Yeah, no, we're going to do that after.
Okay,
right?
okay.
Yeah. Sorry, they hate me. I've not read the script properly, right? Okay. I will close and hand over to you, yeah. Okay. I just want to say, listen, again, thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here. I know you're all very busy people, but I hope you've enjoyed, 1, the conference, and 2, this beautiful country in which I have the pleasure to call home as well. So I wish you all safe journeys home, and I think I can say, given that Honourable Minister Linda has said there will be one next year, I think we'll see you again next year. So thank you very much, and let me hand over to Carl. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Jonathan. So you folks all have something like this in front of your chairs, tables. If you don't have one, grab one. You should be able to find one. It's a block, it's colored, it may be behind you, it may be in front of you. We want to make sure that we have enough for every single person in this room, and some. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to pick one, and on the back, I'd like you to write down a key takeaway for you from the forum, or a key commitment. So if you're thinking about what are you going to do between this year's forum and next year's forum, what could be that key commitment or that key takeaway? So I'd like you to take a moment, reflect on that, write it on the back, and you'll see there's a number. So this one's 16. You pose it on the corresponding number here, right down here, right? Yeah, the back is the one with the number. Yeah, thank you for the question. So right on the white side of the card, right on the right side. Who doesn't have one? You folks at the back, right? We'll get you some at the back. Here too. Okay. We got plenty of extras. Right on the white side. White side. Right on the white side. Yeah. Can I take this? Yeah. And once you're done, come and pose it in the middle on the front. You folks all have one? Yeah? Got some extras here. Right. Great. Take a Sharpie. Do you have one? Yes? Who else needs one? Yes, go ahead. Thank you so much. You're right on the white side. You want to flip it around. Yeah. All right, let's get our last few cards down. If there's an empty one hanging around, bring it over. So I'm going to invite everyone, join us in the center. We're going to do a group photo here. Yes, this time with the tree that we have been growing at the Feminist Finance Forum. Yeah, so we're going to do a group photo. Everyone join us in the center of the room. This will be our last one. Folks, join us for the photo with the tree in the center. Okay, folks, so we are up in the booth now, and we'd like to take the photo. So in order to take the photo, you're going to need to face the back of the room. If I could get everyone to face the back of the room, and you'll want to step away from being in front of the tree that we've just put together. All right, folks, we are getting there, but, excuse me. So you don't want to be in front of the tree. So we'll need to keep this area clear. Go to the left or to the right. Who is that? Yeah, that was fantastic. You'll want to step just a little bit. You don't want to be in front of the tree, because otherwise we can't see the tree. All right. I think we're good. If I can move you just a little bit back. And if I can just move you to the back. There you go. Okay. More on this side. More on this side. Yeah, so we've got a little bit too many people on here. Let's bring people in a little bit. We'll keep this clear, though. This is great. We're good. Okay, we're good. We're doing the photo now. All right, let's do a wave. All right, fantastic. Thanks, everyone. I've got a couple of closing points. So everyone, thank you very much for helping us build this tree. Before we get to the photos, I want to say a couple of things to help us wrap up. Number one, your feedback on this survey is crucial. If we're going to design our next Feminist Finance Forum, if it's going to be great, we need to hear your feedback on it. Scan this QR code, give the feedback. Otherwise, my colleague Mara, right over here, has paper feedback forms. So that's number one. Mara's right over here, pink and yellow dress. Number two, we've got a couple of things happening tomorrow. So we've got the Catalyzing Women's Entrepreneurship Regional Forum that's happening. And we have a workshop for CSOs on translating gender to finance, using finance to advance gender equality. And that is with Joy and colleagues. Is that right? Your workshop. Yes, your workshop. So those are the two. More joy is tomorrow, she says. And then finally, we have the reception, which starts at 5 o'clock, and it'll just be outside. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening.